It sounds wrong.
It sounds wrong, but it also weirdly kind of works. So yeah, welcome to Next Level. From us here at Level with Emily. I host the podcast Level with Emily, and Sam Keenan produces it. Hello, Sam.
Hello.
We've been doing this since, not this, but something similar to this, akin to it, a relative of it perhaps, since 2011, which is a long time. So
yeah.
Yeah, and friends for even longer, which is weird.
The big thing is, for YouTubers, I think to understand about that is like the main thing we do is an audio podcast.
True. Yeah.
And, we've been branching out into YouTube over the recent times. But the audio podcast has been our focus, although we like,
yes,
getting out into the world this way too. But that's why when you listen, I know you know all this, but when you listen to our show on YouTube, our show on YouTube, it'll be without all the production of the music from the composer or whoever we're talking to or we're talking about, because we get potential copyright strikes, yada yada. So check out the podcast.
Yeah, the audio version is really where it's at. That's where we like to dig into a lot of music, and there sometimes it's almost vital to the. I mean, sometimes it is vital to the conversation just to know what the hell we're talking about. Like we've got one coming up where we talk about two games, one a sequel to or a sibling of the first, and the keys that those are in are very important, and so we talk about the music theory of it, which is really fun. And then that one's a week or two off, but that'll be demonstrated musically in the audio version. So we always encourage people to visit that. And for this, honestly, for almost all of them, it's really important. And this week, Sam and I like to get together on every Wednesday and talk about this week's upcoming episode. This one is, oh God, I just loved talking to Grant Henry, who also goes by Stemage, particularly in the video game remix world. But as a performer and as a composer, he's usually Grant Henry, but you can find examples of both. So, and Grant and I we talk about a lot of music, and it was really fun. So that's who we got coming up this week. Yeah. And other than that, just quickly, how you been? Are you good? Are you enjoying summer? Now that it's here?
Yeah. It's been nice to be out and about and stuff. Wedding.
You went to a wedding?
Sweating.
Sweating.
Although I am going to a wedding fairly soon.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Where in the cities here, or is it?
Yep.
Okay. Fun. Good times.
No, well, I mean, it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fun. Whatever.
Yeah.
Weddings.
To each their own. Yeah. Some people are into it.
Yeah.
Some people,
I think they're kind of obscene.
Let's just go there. Let's just do a whole episode about that. No, we won't.
I'm just kidding.
I know. Yeah, sort of. You're not though, but but yeah, it's been a good one. It's nice to have patio season is always a good time here in the cities, and already had 2 lake swims, which is nice. Looking forward to more. I had no idea that Lake Hiawatha was supposed to be swimmable, but it's always been a swimmable lake. It's just people don't, because storm sewer garbage drains into it. And understandably, people don't want to swim in there, but they fixed it. So maybe this summer I'll have a dip in Lake Hiawatha for the first time. But otherwise, the huge Nokomis, Harriet, Cedar. Cedar is a nice one to swim in. So there's many. But anyway, let's get on to Grant Henry.
Yeah.
The thing about Grant is that Grant Henry has been doing this for more than 20 years. So there's a ton of music. And, rather than the obscene task of trying to do a full retrospective, I focused on just a few things that I found really interesting, which really, I mean, it kind of, I feel bad, kind of excluded really any of his remix conversation. I really was curious with his in his original music. And so we talk about a soundtrack he did for a game called Card of Darkness, which was made by the Adventure Time creator. And the connection there is that if you are an avid Adventure Time watcher, I am not, one of the characters plays guitar on and off, I guess. And when you hear that guitar, that is Mr. Grant Henry playing that. So he knows those folks, and he's been working with those people for a very long time. That's how he ended up working on this soundtrack. And I love it. I love the soundtrack to the game. There's very little guitar in it, maybe just the first track or something like that. And then a solo project he did, it's basically like 90s prog rock, but a little more modern. And it's called Narrow Band. And it's loosely based on the idea of synesthesia, if you're familiar with that, where certain people see colors when they hear music. Yeah. See a specific color. You know, it's not just a light show as you hear music. It's, or I mean, maybe, but yeah, like certain things sound blue or orange or whatever. So because he has a tiny bit of that. And so he just like picked a bunch of names from the Pantone. He just looked at Pantone names because they're always awesome. And he named each track accordingly. Yeah, which is fun. Like Astronaut. What a cool color name, because I see that. I don't know what it looks like, but I think I do, you know? I don't know. So so it's fun. And kind of a lengthy conversation. We talk about some other things too, because he did a League of Legends like spin-off project that I didn't listen to, but we talk about, and some other projects that he does, just to make sure we kind of try and cover as much as possible. But yeah, what'd you think of Grant Henry and his tunes?
Well, what I listened to the most was that 90s prog rock record
Narrow Band
about. Narrow Band, and that was really fun, and it sounds really great.
I know, doesn't it sound so? It
sounds epically good. But it's like one of those things that's part of one of the reasons why you can tell it's modern, because like if you could take that recording and just bring it back to the 90s or whatever, people would have been losing their shit. Because that's the kind of palette that people were trying to make, but it just wasn't. It just was like people were doing it in all sorts of ways, piecing together the kind of 80s rock with the whatever grunge happening and all whatever else happening too. But it's got like a little Tool in there, some like some grunge bands, some I don't know, Alice in Chains, and
and
just other things too. But it sounds great. I would recommend anybody check it out if you're into that kind of music at all. It's and the first track will even hook you.
Well, let's listen to a little bit.
Yeah,
let's listen to some of it. My computer logged out, so give me just a second.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. All right. Yeah, so the first track is called Mercury.
Yeah, it's got a little setup, little drum hit. Yeah.
We're both just like,
it almost just sounds like Alice in Chains like put out a new modern record, and you're about to hear those vocals come in, with the like 4-part harmonies or whatever.
I was playing it for a friend last night, our friend Justice, and Justice is quite a bit younger than you and I, but his dad isn't. and and his dad loves going to shows. His dad goes to shows all the time. He flies around and goes to shows. He comes to the cities and goes to shows, whatever. And he loves rock. And so Justice grew up listening to this kind of stuff and has some favorite bands from back in the day. And, you know, so he's familiar with this, even though he's quite a bit younger than us.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, I keep expecting the vocals to come in, which is like really cool. You know, you're like, that's how it just sounds like that's what's supposed to happen. And then honestly, I'm pretty glad it doesn't happen.
Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad. Honestly, I love that there's no vocals on it at all.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
It's awesome.
And the way the songs move, it's not like you miss them. It's not like it sounds like they're like, you know, it sounds like they're about to come in with, and the part might change or something, but the way that it is without vocals, it's like really nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I mean, so Grant as a guitar player is a phenomenal guitar player. He says he's not a shredder, which, you know, obviously in music lingo, that's just someone who can play really fast. Like violins can shred, trumpets can shred,
yeah,
you know, tubas can shred. But anyway, he doesn't describe himself as a shredder. So therefore what you get is just so much lyricism and melody, you know, because there's not this focus on quantity of notes. It's definitely a focus on quality. And those two things can exist simultaneously as well. But we just had a really nice time talking about certain guitar soloists that play that way as opposed to shredders. And it was just a really super, because disclaimer, from the time I was a teenager, well, probably from the time I was like 12, whenever Poison's Nothing But a Good Time came out, I know, I always wanted to be an electric guitar. I wanted an electric guitar. I begged my parents for an electric guitar, and my life would be so different. I guarantee you I'd be out there touring with like Whitesnake right now or something like that. And I'd have the same mullet working, but yeah, it's like it's just such a cool thing. I just think, and just like one of the things I've always wanted to be able to do. So I just loved picking his brain about stuff like that. And but he also played everything. So he played the bass, and he also programmed the drums, and the drums sound so good. And so let's listen to some of this track, Amulet, where there's not a super ton. It's kind of like a thinner texture, but you just hear how great the drums sound, really. So here's Amulet.
Think like Tool drums in your head. I don't know when the last time you listened to Tool is, but and then listen to kind of the timbre of what he's doing with the drums. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah, here. And again, I'm going to skip around a little bit till I find it, but I mean, just even right off the bat, they sound amazing, you know, right at the beginning of that track. But I'll go this is toward the end of it. Yeah, they just sound so good.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah. And I would love to go through more of that. Like, well, let's just listen briefly to just a tiny bit of Astronaut, because that's, yeah. And then we're going to move on and listen to a little Card of Darkness before we go. But this is Astronaut. Yeah, I just love the articulations that he does. And yeah, I love it all. It's really great. Really great stuff from Grant Henry. Stemage. So that album is under his Stemage moniker. And again, that album is called Narrow Band. And I highly recommend it. It's an EP, so it's like 30 minutes of that, you know?
Which is
and
perfect.
It's perfect. It just, it leaves you wanting more, which is my favorite thing. And so he says the Rift Vault is full again and that he's trying to get himself in the space where he can do another album like this. Because I was just like, dude, you have to.
Cool.
Yeah.
I also, I noticed listening to some of his other stuff, how kind of I could just tell, because that's really that narrow band stuff seems like really in his kind of center wheelhouse place, and I can hear how some of that affects some of the other music that he does, even though it's totally different.
Right.
There's like this kind of approach that's similar, or sonic palette choices that are kind of similar in weird ways and stuff that I was noticing. But
yeah, I think that's accurate. So let's listen to the title theme of Card of Darkness.
Okay.
And again, this is a song without words. You could just totally, even in the 90s, this could have been a song in the 70s too. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's just very song-like, which I love. So this is it's only a minute and a half. Yeah. Just so sweet. So sweet.
Yes.
And then, yeah, here's, where's the one? This text is too small. Let me make it bigger for my aging eyes. I'm like leaning forward. No, just make it bigger. All right. This one's called the Baxland Delves. I love the dirty bass sound that he uses in here. We talk about, because it's just so, yeah, it's just really good. I just love it. Mogi.
Meow.
Meow. Yep. Grant Henry, Stemage. That's who our guest is this week. And it was great. It's like a little more than an hour, I think, that we chatted. But a lot of that is the reason is because there's so much music. you know, if I'm putting in 30-second snippets of tracks, then that can add 5 or 10 minutes of time pretty quick. So, but I love that. I love that there's a lot of music in this one. And
the other thing that was cool too is that remixers did a bunch of his tracks, right?
Oh yeah, so he is part of a remix collective, and so they basically approached the collective and said, "Hey, Chaos Realm, I think is their name, maybe that might be wrong, but in any event." The other people, yeah, it's not called Chaos Realm. I'm just blanking on it because I know. Darn it! Whatever. Those folks had a chance, and they did it really quickly. They had like 30 days, and so it's a really cool album. Like, I mean, that's what's fun about remixing. It's like taking someone else's artistic product and doing something creative with it. So so there is a whole album of that. It's called Chaos Realm, but that's because there's a daily dungeon in the game called Chaos Realm. So I can't remember the name of the collective. He talks about it though. And then there's also like some extra music from that game that has been released as well. So there's actually a lot of music from this little card game, and it's hard. It's a really difficult game, but people love it. So it's been out for a few years, but is on Apple Arcade, Card of Darkness.
Okay.
I have failed a lot in that game, but it's really adorable. And of course the music's great. So yeah, those are the things we pretty much talk about with Grant, and just, yeah, nice fella, easy to talk to, and another win of someone that I met at VGMCon. So, and he'll be back every year. He just fucking loved it. Pardon my language, but he fucking loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's like, it's just a big green room, like all the and that's why we love it. That's why I like want it to stay small, but I know it won't. So. But it's good. It's good. Anything else you want to add about Grant Henry or our upcoming episode?
I guess not. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Just
well,
enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Please listen to the audio version. You'll find a video as well. And you can chat with us about this and other episodes on Discord. That link will be down in the show notes. And if you can support us financially on Patreon, we would be grateful. So, all right. We'll see you next week at this time.